I used to beg him to come to the gym with me. I'd be like, babe, like, please, let's go work out. Can you go running with me? I loved running. And he would always be like, no, you go ahead. It really bothered me because I always went to go watch him play basketball with his boys. And I sat in the car. I was so bored. I would do things for him. I would compromise. But then he wouldn't compromise.
Yeah.
And
Hey,
so
that's two different things, though. You're going to watch him play basketball. He has come run with you, girl.
exactly. Hi, welcome to the Real and Relatable podcast. My name is Cash.
I'm Elsie.
I'm Ma, and I'm AJ.
Today, I wanted to share a story, ladies. My mom told me about it, and I thought it was really interesting. So the wife was an Asian woman, and she married a white Caucasian man. And every single time she cooked, he would complain about how much the house smelled. So he would say, you need to cook your food outside. So she would go and cook her food outside.
Wow.
Yeah, in the garage. And sometimes when it was winter, it was cold, right? But then, because it really bothered him. Where do you guys stand on that? On the differences of cooking?
Eat any of the food?
He doesn't really enjoy it. So it's really for her.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, but like, do you feel like you understand where he's coming from, or do you think it's a little bit disrespectful?
I don't think it's disrespectful because he clearly doesn't like it, the smell or the taste or whatever. But I think that they should have known this from the beginning. It sounds like she accepts it, right? Because she goes out and cooks out in the garage or wherever and has her food out there. It's kind of a sad existence, though. I've been with somebody who, it's not that he doesn't like the smell or my cooking or anything like that, but he's white Caucasian too. But like if we go out to, I love pho, noodle soup, all kinds of noodles. He just really doesn't really like that kind of food because he just feels like it's high in carbs. And
It's
he's
more
like a
health conscious,
protein. Yeah, he's
It's
super
not
health
cultural.
conscious. Yeah. He wants protein. He wants super healthy, greens and proteins. So he really stays away from high carbs. And of course, rice is high in carbs. But like I was never offended by that either. I was like, whatever, you don't want it, then I'll go by myself. I'll go with friends, and sometimes he will join me.
So what about you, Ma? Like,
I don't know. I think that's disrespectful. I think the whole thing is disrespectful.
okay.
If you don't like her food and you don't like her cooking, then why are you even dating her?
So don't marry her.
Yeah, don't date her and don't marry her.
But do you think that's her fault?
But
for
maybe they
accepting
did
it?
But like she accepted it. And also, did she ever cook in front of him before?
I'm
Cook her own
sure.
food,
I mean, they're making it work.
right? Yeah. Before they got married, I mean.
Yeah, but they're probably like, this is compromisable. Like it's something they're willing to compromise. What about you?
I'm a big foodie, and so food is really important to me. And I love my Asian food, my Southeast Asian cooking and food, and the smell of it.
Yeah.
It might be strong and pungent, but it's still like delicious. It has really good, happy feelings for it. So I will only date men who are going to be mostly Asian, who are going to be accepting and want to eat that food. Now, I have met other Asian men who only like has a more American taste buds, and they only like burgers and fries, and they won't eat anything, or they won't eat vegetables. And that's almost a turnoff for me because like I really want them to have a balanced food. And then I'm not going to slave over, and I love cooking too, so I'm not going to slave over making two types of different dishes so that you can eat and then I can eat. I'm just going to cook a big pot and then we share.
Eat if you do, don't if you don't.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're saying that you need to get out because it smells, then no.
But if he doesn't want you to cook in the house because it stinks in his opinion, and he wants you to cook in the garage, would you be like, you know what, babe? I see where you're coming from. It could be stinky. Too much garlic. Okay, fine. I'll cook in the garage. Or would you be like, excuse me?
Well, like if it's like fried fish, like I understand that can stay in your house forever, right? But then I would make sure that it's going to be outside. So I would do what we tend to do when we have large parties is cook
Certain
outside. Yeah, porches like that.
But for certain
things. Yeah. But things that I agree to.
Yeah, certain things. I don't think he's telling her every time she cooks. It's got to be certain things.
Probably
That's
just the
that was
Asian food that smells bad.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when she's making a sandwich, then maybe he's not gonna complain.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god.
If she's making a banh mi, Asian banh mi can't stink that bad. Yeah.
Banh mi, yeah.
Yeah.
No, banh mi has that paste in it, so yeah, exactly.
But it doesn't
Oh,
stink.
I don't.
Yeah. I do remember.
I do the no paste banh mi.
Oh, paste is better.
The pate.
Yeah, pate. I don't like pate. Yeah.
It's what makes it juicy. I do remember when I was when I was a sophomore in high school, I was in math class, and there's this Asian girl who was kind of fobby, and one day she came to class, and damn, she smelled like straight up egg rolls, but not.
Okay, egg rolls do smell.
No.
Okay, that I would have given that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so certain
wasn't-
things do smell.
Yeah, it wasn't. Oh, egg roll smells so good. I'm hungry. It's like leftover oil.
Yeah,
She,
grease.
yeah. She smelled like grease.
And me growing up in the restaurant industry, like you walking home where you smell somebody who worked in the restaurant all day, it smells bad.
And doesn't it linger on your skin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
So, but that was the first time I was just like, dang, this Asian person smells like straight up Asian oil. Yeah. And I never experienced that before. Like I never experienced that before. And I couldn't even be racist because she's Asian like me. I was just like, ill.
But you recognize that it was egg roll.
It was
It's like you're like, oh, she made some egg rolls.
it's some oil.
You didn't bring me
fry
any
some-
egg rolls?
yeah.
Exactly. That's what I would thought.
You gotta bring egg rolls to class.
Yeah, for real. If you guys smell like that.
You be bringing some egg rolls.
Right? So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I want to point out the differences and similarities between the people you choose to marry and or date. You know, whether it's food, whether it's a common interest, whether it's beliefs, values, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to go around and ask each and every one of you, have you ever dated somebody where there were just very obvious differences? And were there some that bothered you? And were there some that you actually appreciated?
Not just related to food, right?
And
Yeah, no.
Oh,
And
okay. Okay.
So I can go first. In terms of food, I'm very open to all kinds of food. I'm not really like particular about anything. Like I love Asian food, but you know, you guys know I don't really eat a lot of rice, you know, but anyways, I eat everything. I'm not picky. So I'm not really, I want a guy who is really open to a lot of different foods too. So that's not like a deal breaker for me. Like even with my ex who didn't particularly enjoy Asian food because he felt it was very carb heavy. I was like, okay, cool. Then, you know, I'm going to cook whatever I want for dinner and you're going to cook whatever you want. And I'm not cooking for you. And he's like, yeah, no, that's okay. Like I can cook for myself. So I never had to worry about like making anything for him, just myself.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
So that there wasn't that pressure to cook 2 meals like what you mentioned.
But I love
before.
sharing. So that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like if they don't eat, I get offended.
Yeah.
I'm just
It's like a ritual.
yeah. You gotta at least pretend you're feeding yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, I'm gonna get mad.
But in the long term, what I you know, initially I was like, okay, that's cool, that's fine. And then in the long term, I was like, I would be like, babe, are we even a family? Like, we're not even eating the same thing.
True.
He's like, why do we have to eat the same thing? We can eat different things and we can sit at the table together. You know, we clearly have different tastes in food. So it's fine. We're going to, like, you do your thing. I do my thing in the kitchen. We sit together and we eat. Like, why is that not acceptable? And I was like, well, I'm thinking about the future and our children. What are they going to be eating?
Yep.
How am I going to create a family around a dinner table if we eat so differently?
Yeah.
Right. So long term, you know, it wasn't like the most important thing, but I definitely thought about that. So that's the guy that I was saying he's not the one.
Yeah.
One. So I definitely did think about those things. Like, how would if I had children, how would I, you know, build this dinner table culture?
Yeah.
You know?
And if they like your food, dad's not going to be really present to enjoy it with them either. So they also have to enjoy it without dad.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it just felt like a little bit like there's something a little bit amiss, like missing in the relationship. There's like a connection missing. Even though it's not a deal breaker, I could sense that there was like, we're not really like a unit together, like fully connected, you know?
Yeah.
How about you, AJ? What have you experienced?
Well, I think I've experienced kind of I've been lucky enough that I've been with partners that are kind of similar in that aspect. And that's me also seeking out, making sure that they are also pretty similar, you know, like, because food is very important to me. So I've been lucky enough to have, partners that are open and they are open to adventure.
She's a really good cook. Yeah.
And like, they'll eat spicy food too. So that's always a really good indicator that I know that this person may be able to stay in my life for a little bit longer, because we can enjoy spicy food together. And then like adventure and like friendships, like I want to make sure that they have a good balance of friends and going out, and also like they're independent of me, and we can grow and then come back together and connect. So I've had some, relationships where it wasn't like that, because I'm mostly dated a lot of introverts too. So there was a lot of like more like struggles in regards to interpersonal communication and friendships, or how they want to spend their time. And so those were kind of more of the conflicts. And I felt like those were kind of, I felt like maybe those are the reasons why our relationships did end, And now I'm with another introvert. So,
You like it.
I haven't learned my lesson, guys. But they're willing to compromise. And I'm a lot more older now, more experienced. And I realized too, like, with a lot of self-reflecting, like, you may have to start to change yourself or accept others for who they are, especially if you love them and you feel like this is long-term or something, Cancel culture is so happening right now, you could just brush anybody off, right, for anything, for the smallest reasons. And that's not what I want,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a friend, he said that I love food a lot. I care about food too.
Yeah.
I think that all of us, we really appreciate good food, I have a friend who he said to me, he's like, I don't care about food. I don't know why it matters so much. I could eat a sandwich every day for the rest of my life.
Oh my.
It's all about staying alive, but I'm just like, no way. I could never hang out.
Is he living at all?
Yeah. He's living, but he's, I don't know, maybe his life is not as exciting.
Yeah.
I would think, yeah. But there's good in differences sometimes, because you're forced to learn. I love it when I'm with a partner and he could teach me a thing or two.
Yeah.
Because I get tired of having to teach people. I've dated men throughout my life where younger years where I had to teach them, and I love receiving now, Yeah. So like, what are some things that you have experienced where there were differences and you actually appreciated it? Like you were able to grow, he taught you something, you taught him something, because it's good to have differences too, right? Like opposites could attract, right?
Yeah. I agree. Like right now, even though I'm dating the introverts and I'm whining over here, one of the greatest things I realized also is that, they're great and being independent. That's what I learned too, is to appreciate that partner, because even though they may not be sharing in a lot of my own like adventures in life, they're able to, come back and receive me, and we can connect,
The thing for me is music. I love
that.
Yeah. I love when they have like different tastes in music, and I get to learn about these different genres.
Your library.
So I have a very, eclectic taste in music, because it's just, it gets expanded with everyone that I have dated. Yeah, so that's something that I've appreciated. But I mean, I appreciate them all for their differences. I like dating people who are different from me, so that I can learn and grow and just be different. And there's nothing particular that I can point out, but I think just because I'm very open-minded, I find that I just prefer dating people who are different than me.
So when it comes to relationships, sometimes obviously we have to compromise, right? Like if your guy wants to sit at home all day, okay, I dated somebody one time who just wanted to go fishing a lot. Wow. And I was just like,
and you learned how to fish with them.
I was like, I love fishing, but I feel like I don't have a life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like fishing is life.
Yeah, for those people, yeah.
Fishing is life. But like at what point do you feel like it's over compromising? Like, like when do you think that, because we have to compromise, right? In relationships in order to make it work. How do you know when you're over compromising?
When is it compromise, or when
Like,
is it being molding yourself to
Because
who
you
someone
have to
who
do
they
some
like?
of the things that he likes to do.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to go see like Celine Dion concerts, you're like, babe, please. Yeah. He might be like, okay, fine.
He secretly likes Celine Dion too. You know, like, they all like Celine.
You know, like, would you? How far?
I think for me, like I've only learned this now, but I think before I wasn't as good at voicing what I want in a relationship, or like I didn't do it in like a serious enough kind of way. I guess I would just kind of mention things that I would like
Drop hints.
Yeah, like like I really want a place by the beach, you know, like little hints like that, which actually did happen later on. But it did happen. But I usually kind of go like when I'm in a relationship, or before anyway, I go with the flow a lot, and then towards the end, when all the unhappiness builds up and I leave the relationship, I just feel like it's all because I didn't really voice what I want enough.
Yeah. I feel you
strongly enough.
I feel you.
And I wonder if I had done that earlier on in the relationship more consistently, would things be different?
Mm-hmm. What about you, Mal?
I feel like I'm still like learning all this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I don't think I've been in enough relationships to learn.
I'm definitely better now. I have like higher standards, higher expectations. I don't know. I'm not gonna go along with something that I don't like. You know,
like I just go with everything.
Yeah, you're still in that phase.
Yeah.
Go with everything still.
I
don't.
Let's go fishing again. Like, I don't want
I mean, when
to
it
do
comes
that. I'll
to
go.
things like what to do, you are very low maintenance. You're really
Yeah.
agreeable. You're like, okay, fine,
Yeah.
right?
Because for the most part, if it's not hurting me and I'm not doing anything, why wouldn't I just go and do
okay,
it?
fine.
You know? Yeah.
The loyal part of you.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I'm busy, which is never, and if
You might say no.
and if I say I'm busy, it's a lie. but you know, if I'm ever actually busy, then yeah, it would be a no. But for the most part, if I'm not doing anything and whatever, you want to go fishing for like the 100th time, sure.
Fine,
I'm not doing anything. I'll go hook your bait for you because you can't hook it yourself.
Wow. She probably would do a better job.
Oh, I definitely did it. I definitely did
Do
it.
a better job. Yeah. AJ, how about you? Like, how do you know when you're over compromising, or like, because we have to compromise to some extent.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think I'm also growing in this area too. I think when we've never been taught properly how to communicate in our parents' relationships. We've seen that being modeled, and so we just kind of repress our feelings. And I'm starting to learn too. And lately I've been watching kind of like these two psychologists. They kind of helped started the Gottman Institute, and they talk about couples, and they say that couples tend to have like a continuous fights about the same things, maybe up to 60% of the time. And that really the reality is that you are going to have disagreements. You are going to have like a lot of nothing that you have anything, similar things that you might be interested in.
Yeah.
It's really about either they give you the attention you need and the want, or B, like you guys are able to kind of understand that people have different needs, and then you can seek your needs met through other things. So one of I think her name is Juliet or Julia, the wife, they're a couple. She talks about how she loves hiking. She loves walking. She loves like that. And then her husband doesn't like any of that. He likes to stay home and just sit and read books and learn about physics and shit like that, right?
Yeah.
And so what she had discovered is that instead of fighting about it all the time, about how like you don't go out and walk with me and stuff like that, she's just decided, I'm gonna go hiking trip, girls trip, and do this miraculous thing where I get involved with the community and with females, and it gets very invigorating. And like I go on trips, I can still be able to thrive within my relationship. And then when she comes back, she's like refreshed and she feels good. She comes back and talks to him about his physics books, like what he read and what he did, and then they connect.
Yeah.
And instead of fighting, that's how they were able to work through things. So I feel like cancel culture, like I was talking about, like I think people right now have such a high standard, or they build these high boundaries,
in relationships that you're like, oh, because they didn't meet such standard, I can't be with them. But maybe that's not really the case. It's really like, let's look at it in a different way, especially if this is somebody I love, you know, give them kind of a chance and for you to grow too. So that's my take right now as well. So I'm practicing that.
So the story you're giving is that like she kind of was able to still keep that in her life.
Yes.
But she could still do it on her own time, and it could be a healthy thing.
Correct. Yeah. And he didn't withhold it from her. He didn't tell her to stop.
Yeah.
You know, she was still able to express that.
You know, the guy that I'm with right now, I addressed some of these things earlier on before we even became official. You know, he'd ask me like how I think everything's going. I said, well, there is one thing that I'm concerned about, and it's that we're very different, and I'm noticing these differences, and I'm not sure.
Okay.
And one is that you're a highly active, like you're doing Pilates, you're doing spin, you know, like you're working hard, and you're an athlete. And I'm more of like a softer kind. I take a softer approach to being active. You know, I do like my vinyasa yoga, and that's it. I'm good. I'm happy. You know, I'll walk, you know, on the beach. I'll do like a small hike up running, but I'm not doing intense workouts. Is that going to be okay? You know,
That's a great question.
yeah. And he said, that's fine. Like, I don't expect you to do these things with me as long as you're my cheerleader and you're cheering me on and you're allowing me to do these things and you're not stopping me, you know, then I'm not going to drag you to go do these things if you don't enjoy these things. So I like address a bunch of these things. Like I'm trying to be really vigilant of any concerns earlier on, and I like bring those things up early on to just make sure, set that expectation, you know,
or indirect pressure, right?
Yeah.
Like you feel like you have to be at his level.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm like, I'm not going to be like that. And also I'm more introverted. Like I'm going to want to stay home more often, and you're a lot more social than I am. I can tell, you know? And he's like, that's cool. We can stay home if you want, you know, we can go out if you want, whenever you want. Like, I appreciate that you're chill, you know? Yeah. And so, yeah, we talked a lot about our differences.
Good.
Because I've just learned that it's so important to not like brush things under the rug, because later on I'm just going to become unhappy.
Yeah.
Because I'm sort of like changing myself to make this person happy, or I'm forcing this person to change themselves to what I want. And I really don't want that in the next relationship, you know?
And that is so smart, because those conversations are not easy to have. But the fact that like you're noticing it and you're talking about it up front, it's making everything transparent. Because maybe his idea of, yeah, babe, let's be a power couple, he's thinking, let's go do this class and that class and do these things together. And you might be like, whoa, that's just too much for me.
Yeah.
So it's good that you're addressing it up front.
He's going to these classes, and he's number one ranking in those. Yeah. He'll send me the scorecard out of the 30, 60 people in that class. He's number one. I'm like, okay, congratulations. I'm proud of you. And you're not gonna be me. You're gonna be embarrassed if you ever take me with you. You know. But I love that about him. It's just I'm not that person.
But you could be his cheerleader.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it.
Yeah.
So then, okay, when I was in high school, I had a boyfriend, my first like high school boyfriend, like real high school boyfriend. And I remember, you know, I used to go to Bally's Total Fitness, and I remember I used to beg him to come to the gym with me. I'd be like, babe, like, please, let's go work out. Let's go running. Can you go running with me? I loved running. And he would always be like, no, you go ahead. You know, and so I think I mentioned this previously in another episode, but it really bothered me because for me, I always went to go watch him play basketball with his boys. And I sat in the car. I was so bored. I would do things for him. I would compromise. But then he wouldn't compromise.
Yeah.
And
Hey,
so
that's two different things, though. You're going to watch him play basketball. He has come run with you, girl.
Exactly.
I'm running.
He can come watch you run. Yeah.
I'm running.
Yeah.
okay, fine. True, fair. There's a physical aspect that is indifferent. Like it's not the same, you know. But at the same time, it's like
Yeah.
like I guess I want someone who could keep up with me. You know what I mean?
But I think that's important to know. Like if it's something that's important to you and that you want that person to do with you, then you have to know that too.
Yeah.
You know, like if his expectation is for me to be doing that stuff with him, I'm walking away.
But I mean, you know, but that's why he's like not in shape these days. You know, it's like those things are important to me.
Yeah.
You know, like I want to be in shape. I want to look good. I want to feel good.
Yeah.
You know, and not to say like people who are not within BMI is not a good thing, but it's a personal choice for me.
Yeah.
And it's what I want, and I want my partners to have the same similarities.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. If that's important to you, then it's got to be important. But if it's not that important, then let it go.
We're not.
Yeah.
Meant
It's negotiable, right?
Yeah.
So then I wanted to ask you guys, let's go through a list of things that, like, if you fell in love with someone, but they had these hidden passions, would you be able to deal with it?
Is it passion or an addiction? Which one?
Addiction slash passion. So, okay, so what if you are with someone, you love them so much, but they have a gaming issue where they're like, okay, 7:00, I'm gaming with all my friends. Don't bother me. I need 3 hours.
Oh, that's a no.
No.
You wouldn't deal with that?
Nope.
No.
No?
No.
Would you be willing to compromise?
It all depends.
If you love them.
I mean, like you're just talking about gaming. I like to game too a little bit. So, like,
Said a little bit.
yeah,
She's talking
Girl,
about
I've never seen you game.
no, but I do.
But like,
you know,
VR.
but, you know, I could be on my phone and play some small game while he's playing his game. You know, like I can do that stuff too.
Wow.
So,
Okay.
yeah, like it's not a big deal with gaming, but if it's like a whole day, then yeah.
Have you ever dated a gamer?
Yeah, I've dated a gamer.
You're okay with that?
that?
Yeah, I gamed with them, but they weren't like addicted gaming.
Like
She's talking about addicted to games.
yeah, but they
lose your job kind of
no, then that's a whole different.
or like no social life, but like he'd rather stay home on a Saturday gaming all.
Yeah, no, that's different too. If he was able to set 3 hours a day to game with his friends, and I feel that that's like a social outing. Like,
Okay.
I feel like they, even if they were extroverted, they can go outside and meet people for 3 hours and come back and hang out with me. You know, like that's fair. But I feel like if it's all day and I lost my job, then that's a whole different
addiction.
That's
Yeah,
addiction. That's a whole different.
I think she's thinking about, we're talking about extremes here, right?
Well, because the example that you gave, you said, "Oh, I'm going out for 3 hours to game."
Yeah.
That's not really an extreme.
Yeah, that's like gamer.
But yeah, but for me, I wouldn't be dating a gamer.
I would be so irritated. I would feel like my life is on pause for him all the time because he needs a game.
Yeah, because when they game, they're deaf.
Yeah, they don't hear
the person of it,
they don't
especially
hear anything. Play basketball or they're
Yeah.
invested. You know, especially like those people who love the NFL and they have that, like, what is it,
Fantasy football.
Like that can be really intense too. You know, that's an obsession for like 3, 4, 8 months. I don't know how long that is, but
Okay, so how about gambling?
That's a hell.
no, that's a
You guys
straight
would not.
no.
They just love gambling, but they're like, babe, don't worry. I set 700 aside, and you know, like I'm just gonna gamble with that 700.
But do they only gamble with that 700?
Not
That's not how.
Never.
That's usually not how gamblers.
One day and 700 the next day.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys know,
No.
Okay.
Gamblers always a no.
Okay, what if they're really afraid of flying and they're just like, I'm not going to go anywhere on an airplane, but you love them so much, but they're just afraid to fly, so they're not willing to.
He can take Dramamine.
He can what?
Take Dramamine.
Ma's gonna drug her, melatonin, melatonin, and then push him up to melatonin.
Fill his paperwork for us.
You can pop a melatonin.
If he's afraid, is still willing to fly.
He's not willing to fly.
If he's not willing to fly, then no.
You can't, because it's traveling important to you, you know what I mean?
I mean, it's not the most important thing in the world, but I do enjoy it. And if I do choose to, I would like him to go with me or want to go with me. It's not the most important thing, but I just don't want to be with somebody who it's a no.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Like they're not flexible.
Yeah.
At all.
But what if it's a real fear?
Then it wouldn't work.
That's what drugs are for. Hello.
Work. But he's so afraid that he won't even take drugs.
won't.
He's gonna be like, no, I'm definitely not going. So bye. See you when you get back.
Okay, what if family does not really matter to him? So like Thanksgiving, you're like, babe, like we're gonna fly to the Midwest and attend Thanksgiving dinner. He's like, you know what, babe, you go ahead. Like it's just not important to him.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say not important to him, like on his side, but he'll come to yours.
In general, he just doesn't really care.
No, wait. I think let's talk about the two situations. If it's not important on his side,
But he comes to yours?
Yeah, but if he comes to yours, is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that I'm okay with too.
Yeah.
But if he's not into his neither, and it's just us all the time with no extension, then that's a no.
Yeah, I agree. It's a no. I'm a family-oriented person.
Yeah.
So I'm
It's
really
important
close
to
to
you.
my family. Yeah. So they have to be family-oriented as well.
So what if it's the opposite? What if he's so family and friend orientated that he's kind of a people pleaser, and he's like, okay, there's a birthday party, there's a baby shower, he's got to be everywhere. Would that be irritated? Where you're just like, babe, we need us time.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, basically the in-laws would be bad mouthing.
Yeah,
because I would not be the one to want to go to every outing or every social gathering or dinner or meal. So
That's exhausting.
that is exhausting.
My ex was like that.
I think
like,
one or
super
two is
social.
fine, but you can skip a couple. Come on.
Yeah.
But it's like he's so social. He wants to be everywhere. He wants to know what's going on. He wants to socialize. He wants to see everyone all the time.
Yeah.
That was really irritating for me.
Really?
Yeah, that was my ex-husband.
Oh, wow.
That's why you don't want to go date somebody who's really extroverted.
Yeah, it's just too much. And then he would never want to leave.
Oh,
I'm like,
yeah.
let's go.
You're like,
let's go.
You're like, babe, it's time to go home.
Yeah, let's go.
And you're yelling.
And then we're like walking out the door. He's still talking as he's walking out.
Yeah.
So
you think you're leaving, but it's another 40
oh
minutes.
my Lord. Yeah. And it's like, I appreciate that about him. But at the same time, I'm like, no. It's too much for me.
Yeah. I mean, it is exhausting. I don't know if it's a deal breaker.
It's still,
You might be willing to.
Yeah.
because it's that like emotional neediness, I feel like.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, is there something deeper going on?
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yes,
there's
I
something,
think
there's
so.
got to be something deeper going on.
I mean, also because in my case, he was the only son between two sisters. And so like, it was like, when I need to see my friends, I need to go here and be with this person and that person. I need to engage. I need to talk. I don't know. I felt like it was because he was almost like an only child as an only son. I don't know.
Yeah.
In my case anyway.
Do you overall, in like general, feel like you're happier in a relationship if you both have more similarities than not?
I agree. Similar interests.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interests or values. Similar values.
Yeah, both. It's never going to be aligned, 100% aligned.
Yeah, I was gonna say we don't have to have similar personalities because that's just be too crazy.
Yeah.
That's one thing I do remember. Yeah, so I do have to agree with that. We definitely have opposite personalities. That's completely fine with me. But similar values and lifestyle. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
lifestyle. Yep.
I'll wrap it up here, but I thought that it was really interesting just to think through, as you're dating, as you're choosing your life partners, how do you approach it? What's healthy of a balance to have variances and differences, and what's good to have similarities, right? Mm-hmm. And I always feel like it's good to have, in my opinion, similar ethics and values.
Yeah, that's why, I feel like people should date and should have relationships because you learn a lot about yourself and what you like or dislike or what you're willing to put up with or not,
At what point is it overcompromising? I feel like that's when, I think how I would define it is it's when you overcompromise where you betray yourself. Mm-hmm. Then that's overcompromising.
Yeah.
So we all have our own meters. Yep. But yeah, that's all. Thank you for joining us today. And, please leave us your comments. Share the differences and similarities with your relationships. What are some things you have in common, some differences, some things you love, some things you hate? Please like and subscribe and turn on your notifications and share this video if you know somebody who would love it as much as you do. Thank you so much, guys. Bye.